Okay, children, so for the most part of this week, we have been looking at clauses and phrases. And I'm hoping now that you've got it clear in your mind that a clause is a collection of words that contains a subject and, most importantly, a verb. And they can be subordinate clauses, they can be relative clauses. They can come at the beginning of the sentence, they can come at the end of the sentence. And if they come in the middle of the sentence, they're described as an embedded clause. Now, a phrase is a collection of words that adds detail to some part of the sentence, but it does not contain a verb. So today, I thought you might like to hear from the author of The Explorer, and she's going to set your challenge for today. So here we go. Catherine Rundle.
Hello, I'm Catherine Rundle, and this is my author masterclass with Authorfy. This is The Explorer. The Explorer is about 4 children who crash land in the Amazon jungle. And at first they survive by eating bugs, and they try to find water. And then they find a map, and the map leads them down the river on a raft, and they find a ruined city. And in the ruined city there's a man, and he won't tell them his name, so he's just the explorer. And he has a secret, and the secret is the thing that the children have to discover. The children are called Fred, Con, Max, and Lila. Fred is maybe the hero of the book. He's the kind of boy who longs for adventures but has never yet been able to have any. But he's tough and brave. Then there's Con, and Con is very British, and she's the kind of person who just says no to everything. And then there's Lila, and Lila, I don't know, maybe you know someone like this, or maybe you are like this yourself. Lila has a profound relationship with animals. They trust her, and she trusts them, and she's Brazilian. And then there's her little brother, Max, and Max is just 5 and a bit, and so mostly he just runs around and pees on things. But he is the sort of chaos engine of the book.
Okay, so that's an introduction from Catherine Rundle. Now, she has got a little bit of information for us. I don't know if you'd like to hear about her inspiration for writing the book. Perhaps you'd like to listen to that bit first.
So the inspiration behind the book was a trip that I took to the Amazon jungle a few years before I wrote it. And like I always say, if you become a writer, you get to travel the world and tell everyone that it's very serious research. So we went, and I discovered that the Amazon and the Amazon rainforest is the most beautiful thing that I had ever seen. It's so beautiful that you think it's almost impossible, like someone imagined it rather than it having grown up from the earth. And so in the book, so much that happens is actually real. So there's a scene where they're on a raft and dolphins come swimming under their boat. While we were in the Amazon, we were sitting on a boat, and a pod of 5 pink wild river dolphins came swimming under our boat. And even though we were completely fully clothed, we just pulled off our boots and dived in after them. And you could see that they had these scars along their backs where they got into fight with caiman, which are a kind of alligator. And that they had these very sharp little teeth and these very beautiful soft eyes. And then a lot of the other things are true as well, a lot of the more disgusting things. They eat sort of grubs that they find in cocoa pods. We did that. They taste disgusting. A little bit of chocolate, mostly of dirt. We discovered how you can hunt tarantulas by wriggling a stick over their holes, and they come out with their front legs forwards, and you have to pat them around the back so they can't bite you. We discovered all these things about the texture and detail, the smells and the sights of the Amazon. And every day I would write it down at night in my hammock, and every morning I would go out on another adventure.
My word, that's incredibly lucky. She's incredibly lucky to go and visit the Amazon. Maybe one day you might do that. Now, another thing that Catherine did was she read from her book. She read an extract from her book. I don't think we've quite got to this part in the story. We might have by the time you read this, or by the time you watch this video. It's about the tarantula.
This scene takes place about 2/3 of the way through the book, beginning on page 260. And it's a scene in which the four children are about to eat tarantulas. Fred gathered all his courage together. He pulled the tarantula off the stick. It was hot and crispy, but it looked unambiguously spidery. He held his nose and bit a leg off. He was astonished. They tasted a little fish-like and salty like the sea. He took another larger bite. "It's not that bad," he said. Con stared at him, incredulous. "You're eating spiders, you do realise that, don't you?" Max took a bite of his. "It's very delicious," he said. "Can I eat yours if you're not having it?" "No," said Con. "Try a leg of mine," said Fred. The spider made him feel more awake. He could imagine the journey home, really imagine it, for the first time, walking by day and eating spiders and whatever fruit they could find each night. He thought of his father, meeting him at the dock in Portsmouth, bending to pull Fred into his arms. He shook himself and tried to push the thought away. "It tastes of fishy chicken," said Lila. "Really, truly, it's not bad." "Promise it's not a trick," said Con. "Promise. Try mine." Fred burnt his. Lila held out a spider leg. Very gingerly, Con took the leg from Lila. She sniffed it. "It doesn't smell of anything, just the fire," she said suspiciously. She closed her eyes and bit the tip off the foot. Her eyes opened in surprise. "It's not terrible," she said. "It tastes almost like food." "I love them," Max spoke with half the spider leg hanging out of his mouth. "They should sell them at the pantomime with the ice creams."
I hope you're enjoying The Explorer as you're listening to it. I found it mesmerising the first time I heard the story. And I think the adventures and the bravery and the development of the characters is really special. Now, Catherine's got a challenge for you, so you've got to listen carefully because this is today's work.
My creative writing challenge is for you to imagine that you've just crash landed in the middle of the Amazon jungle and you don't know where you are and you don't know how to survive. So what do you do? What are the first things you do? What can you see? What can you feel? What can you smell? What does the ground feel like under your feet? Are you hurt? Are you dizzy? And what are you going to eat? I want you to write about going in search of food. You could write the most disgusting food you can think of if you want to. But how would you survive?
Okay, that's your writing challenge. We're going to play it one more time just so that you've got it fixed in your mind.
My creative writing challenge is for you to imagine that you've just crash landed in the middle of the Amazon jungle and you don't know where you are and you don't know how to survive. So what do you do? What are the first things you do? What can you see? What can you feel? What can you smell? What does the ground feel like under your feet? Are you hurt? Are you dizzy? And what are you going to eat? I want you to write about going in search of food. You could write the most disgusting food you can think of if you want to. But how would you survive?
Okay, so that's your challenge today, children. You're going to write about crash landing in the Amazon and your survival. My only request is that you have capital letters and full stops and you think about how interesting you can make your work using clauses and phrases. When you've written it, send it to me. I'd really like to see it.